Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on the Flash movie. So as most of us should know, the Flash in regards to the cinematic side of things, I guess you could say, has been a bit of a drama over the past few years as the the new DC cinematic universe, or whatever you want to call it, has taken shape. We obviously saw a glimpse of him in Batman v Superman, as well as the Suicide Squad end credit scene, but it was Justice League where the Ezra Miller version of Barry Allen, or the Flash, properly debuted. Now, that was back in 2017, and shortly after that, only months after in fact, in 2018, we were meant to get the Flash solo movie, which would have, played off perfectly off the end of Justice League, regardless of whether it was the cut we got in cinemas, the theatrical cut, or the ever elusive Snyder cut. But we are now in 2020, and I'm pretty sure most of us haven't seen the movie, and that's because it didn't come out. But for months and months and years, we were sort of left in limbo with the Flash movie as it went through multiple directors, and along with this, multiple scripts, which we will come back to in a second. But last year we finally had some light, the holy lights from wherever it may be shined down upon from, maybe the Speed Force to us Flash fans, as we were not only given a great writer attached to the project in the form of Christina Hodson, who wrote Bumblebee and also has written the upcoming DC film Birds of Prey, but we also had the signing on of Andy Muschietti, who is the director of It Parts 1 and 2. I think most people were psyched to have Andy join on, but also have Christina write the movie as well. But I think a decent amount of people are also waiting to see how Birds of Prey turns out, even though Bumblebee was pretty damn well done for the most part. But Birds of Prey looks pretty damn fun, so I think the Flash movie script is in good hands. But in regards to the script, as I said, due to all the director changes over the past several years or something leading up to this point with the Flash movie, that in turn has involved a lot of scripts, various stories. And while 100% of this can't be confirmed due to various reasons, some of them being legal, it does seem that the series of events with the various scripts was that initially, the first script, I think it was with Seth Graham Smith, whatever his name was, that movie was going to be a lot like the TV show, with Eobard Thawne being a mentor to Barry, Eobard Thawne being a bit older, and he was also going to be in a wheelchair, from what was being said. However, he would actually be known as Eobard Thawne and not Somalia, so he would be Professor Eobard Thawne at Central City University, and Barry Allen would be his student. I think that was basically the rough premise there with that. And I think even Killer Frost and Captain Cold were rumored to be in that script as well, in some way, shape, or form. Then it moved on to a legitimate take on Flashpoint. They were going to do something like that. Then the next script was another movie around Reverse Flash. Then the next script after that was a movie around the Rogues, mainly Captain Cold and Heatwave. But now, finally with Andy Muschietti's Flash film, we have locked down once again on a premise, and that is Flashpoint once again. But anyway, over the past couple of days, while moderating a panel with the cast of the new film Underwater, which has Kristen Stewart and stuff in it, Andy Muschietti sat down with thathashtagshow.com to discuss his work on The Flash. Now, we'll leave the link to the article with that interview in the description down below. But yeah, the main thing that come from it is that he told that hashtag show that the movie, the Flash movie, will be a different version of Flashpoint than you're expecting. So this did confirm the ongoing rumors that had been going around that Ezra Miller's solo film would take inspiration from that storyline from the comics. So for those that don't know, there were rumors going around for, it's almost not the past year, but at least the past, maybe it is the past year. It's been a while. But there were rumors going around that Ezra Miller was really set on the Flash solo movie being about Flashpoint, or at least the rough premise of Flashpoint. He wanted a Flash movie with a bit of a darker edge to it. And this was pretty much what apparently led to the old directors who were the writers from Spider-Man Homecoming. That's what led to them leaving the project. Apparently. Need to stress that. Apparently. So let's just cut to the chase. Get straight to the meat and potatoes of the topic. Is Flashpoint being the theme, I guess you could call it, for this first Flash solo movie, a good idea or, well, a bad idea? And to me, honestly, I think it's a bit of a mix. So we will start with the bad, and the worst thing about it is probably minimizing the scale of what is a pretty big game-changing event in the comics. Having it be in a Flash movie isn't the issue. It makes sense, even though you could argue it'd work better maybe in a Justice League-esque sort of group film. But it's putting it in the first movie that follows Justice League, where there wasn't really any over-the-top development with Barry Allen and his past outside of his dad being in prison. Flashpoint, in regards to its effects, is sort of like a smaller scale Crisis on Infinite Earths. So it feels weird that you just like shove it in there. But as Andy does say, it will be a quote-unquote different version of Flashpoint than you're expecting. So it seems that the first movie will just revolve around the general premise of Barry trying to save his mother, running back in time and preventing a death from the Reverse Flash, and due to like the timeline changes and what happens afterward, learning a certain lesson along the way, which I don't mind. I think the focus of Flashpoint, should always be that. And like the focus shouldn't be some world-ending event, which some people think it should be the focus. It's the other way around. Like the world-ending event and the cataclysmic stuff, I guess you could call it, is just extra goodness, and it's just sort of an effect of what Barry does, which we could still get in the movie, but I wouldn't be expecting a straight-up adaptation, which is sort of what Andy's sort of alluding to there. Expect it to be very loose from the comic story and pretty much follow the general premise of Barry running back in time. But that should be the focus, as I said. Like anything else you get apart from that is just extra goodness. But this leads into the good, and that is that this DC cinematic stuff will get a soft reboot. I did see people losing their minds, saying, oh my god, it's too early to reboot the universe, and I completely agree. But it's pretty obvious that the effects of Flashpoint will be fairly soft, so it will be just a bit of a cleanup from what we had before, maybe with like Robert Pattinson's Batman probably being worked in, and maybe some other little changes here and there along with that. However, it needs to be said that DC should really, really focus on standalone films rather than trying to create an overly connected universe where every movie leads into the next one like Marvel's does. Marvel needs that. They need the connectivity, otherwise no one would watch the movies. Everyone knows that. So outside of stuff like the Spider-Man stuff and certain big characters like that, DC doesn't need that. You can still do Justice League and other team movies. Of course you can. Like, we want those. But trying to make everything, the setup for the setup like Marvel does, it takes away from these DC films, and that's how the Marvel movies are structured, but the DC movies I don't think really fit that structure. But in regards to Flashpoint for this Flash solo film, what could it be like? Like, what should we expect to go down, and like what elements from the comic story could be brought in? Now, due to limitations with the runtime and various things like that, this movie probably is going to be anywhere from like between 2 hours to like 2.5 hours, and a decent amount of that time would be setting up Barry's past and the reason he, does what he does. You would expect limited stuff from the comic story if they, do decide to introduce any of it. And to be honest, the only one, well, not the only one, but the only one I would want. But if I can only choose one, and I could only pick one, you'd have to think it would be including the Thomas Wayne Batman. I think that would be the one that would, that most people would want, and the one that would be easiest to include, especially when you consider the relationship, even though short-lived, that Barry had with Bruce Wayne or Batman in Justice League. So they could do something similar in the movie where he ends up in this new, reality or timeline due to changing history, and Bruce is the only person he can think of to help him. And then the whole Thomas Wayne Batman story is revealed and everything like that. I'm sure you've either watched the animated movie or read the comic. You should know what happens there. If you haven't, go watch it or read it. But one thing that should be included 100% that is in the comic story, the animated movie, and hopefully the live action film is that of Eobard Thawne, aka Reverse Flash. But who should play him? Now, I did actually pose this on Twitter, and there were actually a couple of interesting things. My favorite one, which I was already thinking of before, but a couple of people did reply, was actually Anthony Starr, who plays Homelander on The Boys. I think it'd be a mad role for him to get, and I think they might actually go for a younger Reverse Flash or younger Eobard Thawne. Make him not necessarily Barry's age, but around that age. I think that'd be the best way to go instead of making him a bit of an older one. I think that'd be cool. Just a bit of a change up, making him just a bit younger. Obviously, some of the other ones a lot of people have talked about is like Michael C. Hall. Like, I think he's been like one of the fan favorites for a while. So it wouldn't surprise me if like he stays up for the talk and stuff like that. It's mainly his voice. I don't think he necessarily looks that great as an Eobard Thawne, but he's definitely got like the really menacing voice for Eobard Thawne. So, but you probably want the look, don't you? So maybe he doesn't get that high on the list. Michael Fassbender, people have talked a lot about. Matthew McConaughey. Did I say Matthew Fassbender? Michael Fassbender. Matthew McConaughey is another one that a lot of people talked about, and once again, one that was being talked about a lot when like the Flash movie was, I guess, in the works years ago. And even Bill Skarsgård, people have said that, and that's, I guess the Bill Skarsgård connection with Andy Muschietti because of the It movies and stuff that could work around. It wouldn't surprise me if there is a couple of actors from It in this movie, even if like one of the kids plays like a young Barry Allen or something like that. That wouldn't surprise me too much. But in regards to other DC characters that could show up, it wouldn't surprise me if there is like cameos, even if it's on like a TV or something like that, or a newspaper, or like a billboard or something for like Wonder Woman, Aquaman, even like Shazam in cameos and various things like that. I guess like a cool one would be, especially if they want to like sort of recreate something from the comics, would be like the sort of like introduction to the Thomas Wayne Batman, where he's fighting like the Flashpoint version of Harley Quinn. I think that'd be a cool thing they could do there. But in maybe some other Gotham characters tied to Thomas Wayne Batman. But because it's a Flash movie, you don't want to. I don't think they're going to really like have, say, Wonder Woman in a supporting role like you'd have it in the animated movie and the comic story and stuff like that. I think that'd be little cameos, and really the only real supporting character that isn't a Flash-centered character would be that of the Thomas Wayne Batman. But if you have any suggestions as to story ideas they could chuck in there, let me know in the comments. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much to go over. I'm sure we'll get more news on the Flash movie, hopefully towards the end of this year, because I think they start filming next year, early next year. They got to wait for basically Ezra Miller to clear his schedule. But I'm sure we'll get news, maybe casting and stuff as the year goes on. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, it would be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on this. What are your thoughts on Flashpoint? I know a lot of people are probably against it, but if you have anything positive to say and how you could twist it around and make this movie work, let me know in the comment section down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.